Fearless Flight crew, we got a full complement this week. Nobody's got excuses for not being here, and no reserves. So we're glad to see all of you if you that are joining us. Dieter Staudinger, of course, helping me with everything technical, and he's a therapist in his own right. Diane Hansen, living out her dream, being a flight attendant, and she's been a friend of Fearless Flight for a long time because she worked as a volunteer at the airport. And Eric Larson and I met about 30 years ago. So this is the place to come if you have a fear of flying, if you know somebody who does, or if you just like to talk about stuff going on in the aviation industry. So welcome tonight. As always, we ask that you leave evidence of your presence here, leave a remark, leave a comment, or ask a question. We'll have time for some questions. I'm going to start out with an interview that's very special to me. This is a person that I met 11 years ago, almost 12 now, and he was one of the fearful flyers. It was pre-Dieter days, and it was much less organized, and which may be scary if you think that I think I'm organized now. But anyway, and he was a fearful flyer. He just happened to hail from the Republic of Vietnam, and he contacted me. And so let's see. I think we'll go right into the interview, and we'll talk about the other stuff. We want to, of course, talk to you about the 301 classes coming up both in Burbank on October 21st and in Phoenix on October 28th, and in the, of course, a 15-minute coaching session. We encourage everybody to do that, and we'll have some links and some things after we conclude the interview. So let's just go ahead and bring Peter in here, and we'll get underway. Mm-hmm. Welcome, Peter. It's great to see you. And I want you to tell people what your story is and all that more than me, but I do want to tell my part of it. It was a real joy to meet you. About 11 years ago, you made a 15-minute coaching call. I think you and we talked, and you had a story which I'm going to have you share here in just a minute. But you were from Vietnam, and of course I was a serviceman there in 1970, and we figured out I was probably more interested in this than you, but we figured out that with the age differences, you were about 2 years old when I was somewhere in your neighborhood over there. I was living in, at the time it was Saigon, and so this, for me, it's kind of touching because it kind of brings the whole thing full circle. It was very enlightening. We did not get good press in the world for our efforts over there, and it was very confusing. And I always felt like I wish we could have connected with the people more than what we did. And so meeting you and seeing what a wonderful human being you are, and it kind of brought the thing full circle. So I felt like I did a little bit of redemption for myself here. I didn't do any damage over there, but I probably scared some people on an airplane. I will show that if I can pull this up here. Let me share my screen real quick here. And this was what I was doing when I was over there. If I can share the screen. Okay, where did it go? There it is. Okay. I wish I had your skills, Peter, to do this. So, okay. There we go. Okay, can you see that, Dieter? Oh, nope, I gotta hit share, and then you can see it probably. Okay.
Yep. Now we see.
So I don't even know if I've showed you this, Peter. This is the piece of junk that I was flying when I was over there, and this is on the ramp at the airport. It was a joint use field at Saigon, and so the U.S. Air Forces used it, as did the civilian people out there, the airliners and all that. And we were parked on the ramp there, and we used to fly this around. We hauled supplies in and out of forward locations over there. I landed on gravel roads, unimproved strips and stuff. I landed once at the bottom of a mountain valley in Geovuk up in the north, on grass field. That was probably the highlight of my tour over there. And we used to haul a lot of people, which was kind of sad. And it was towards the end of my tour and towards nearing the end of the war over there. And you lived in Saigon you were so small then, but what we ended up doing was they were relocating a lot of people from the rural areas and just bringing them to Saigon and just kind of depositing them there, because there was combat out in the rural areas, and they just turned them into free fire zones. It was really horrific on the people. And I remember seeing we would haul. One time we had 90 people in the back of that. We were if we had seats in there, we could only haul 42 U.S. soldiers, but we would pull the seats out and put cargo straps on the floor, and we could haul 90 people. It was something else. And the people would come to the airport. They'd have just anything they could carry, and we'd haul them to Saigon and whatnot. So anyway, enough about me. I'm gonna kill this off and go back to letting you tell your story. So when we met, the first thing I wanted, if you could share with us, just a little bit about yourself. And how often did you find yourself avoiding flight because of your anxiety? And just what was the basis for when you and I first met, Peter?
Yeah, when we first met at that time, I actually did not want to travel by plane at all. So, but when I worked with IBM, my job required me to travel a lot, and then I have to took the train for like 48 hours to Hanoi. And
oh my God, 48 hours from Ho Chi Minh City to Hanoi. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And every month I have to do that,
and
it's very tired, very tired.
Sure.
And then I. On some occasion, I have to travel to Thailand, and it took me another, like 40 hours on the car. So I decided to take a courses. I have go around, set around, and I really see your courses at that time. And it would change my life after that 15 minutes consultation and talking. I found a kind of connection because Vietnam, Saigon.
Sure,
and that,
sure.
And with all the courses, with all the technical information you share, that's one make me feel confident. I do see that the harmonized video and audios, that's what really helped me.
The harmonizer, the audio program, right. And it hadn't been out all that long. You were kind of one of the first people to use that for me. And in particular, I want to compliment you for being able to speak English, because as I said before, if we were required on, we were dependent on my Vietnamese, I would not be able to talk to you. So anyway, so thanks, and I appreciate you because I know it's English can be a difficult language to speak there. But so what was it like when did you have to, so you had to fly quite a bit then? I think you were in sales, you told me. Were you? Yeah.
So after I took your courses, I start flying again. At first, it's not very comfortable, but I still listening to the audio course, and I went back to your courses about the technical part of the flight. I particularly like the one that the airplane can just glide out when they about to reach the destination. So that one it comfortable me a lot.
Yeah. So the thing that you relied on most then was the harmonizer and the audio to just kind of be a another thing. And I think, see if my recollection is correct, but one of the reasons was didn't you win a couple of sales tests over there, and the prize was they would fly you to Hawaii and Hong Kong and places like that?
Yeah, I missed a few trips that they award me to Hawaii,
Oh
and
my God.
yeah, and a few trips to US as well. So so that's why my career have become like decreased. But after I took your courses, I be able to manage to go on the plane and then travel. And then after that, I took mode and took other roles. And then I they moved me to Singapore for the regional roles. Yeah.
Okay, so let me see if I understand. So when early on, were you saying that it would have been a limitation on your career if you had not
Yes.
overcome? Yeah. Okay. And I think a lot of people, particularly the train, a lot of people can identify with the just the overwhelming fear that they felt, and to avoid it completely. When I first was invited to help a psychologist here in the Phoenix area, which I live, and I 36 years ago last month, I met a group of people, fearful flyers, the first time. I was shocked because I thought they'd be a little nervous, but they were like you. They said, no, we avoid it at all costs, or if we have to fly, we have white knuckles from clenching the seat and all that. So yeah, and you have a son, I think, and your wife, and now they have relocated with you to Singapore, I believe. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Are they good flyers?
Sorry?
Are they okay with flying? They don't they don't have any. So you were the only one, and you kind of pioneered. Yes. Was your wife ever able to go with you on trips when before you got over your fear?
Yes, she actually helped me quite a lot in my few first trip. So she go together with me on the first shock flight. And then after that, I travel myself.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. So when if I understood you correctly, when you started flying again, it was still difficult for you, and you relied on the harmonizer to do that. Was there a time, like, compare as you started to fly with the harmonizer, it was still difficult. How does that compare to where you are today? Are you much more comfortable? Do you still have anxiety from time to time? What's it like today when you fly?
Oh, I would be quite happy to share that. Now I can sleep the whole flight.
So you can sleep now? That's awesome.
Previously, I'm especially for the takeoff part, I feel a little bit worry and anxiety. But now when I come to the airplane, then I settle down and then I start sleeping.
Oh, wow, that's great. And
sleeping is the professional way to handle it. That's what I try and get all my guys to do. And Ron has pictures of me in a row with nervous flyers with all of us.
We try to catch people sleeping. Yeah, when they're coming back, when we do our flights there. I forgot my question here. Let me think. About flying. Oh, I know. In today's I've evolved today a lot more. I talk to people in terms of triggers, and those are things that trigger the brain's fear center. So sometimes it used to be more 36 years ago when I first started working with people. They were more concerned about the mechanical reliability of the airplane. They were worried about the airplane failing. Now there's been a shift pretty dramatically to people are more worried about being trapped, and just when they close the door. Can you talk to either one of those? Was your fear more about the airplane was it about crashing or anything, or was it where you were more worried about being closed in and not being able to get off?
I'm at that time I'm I'm worried about many things. And
Okay.
then and the important is when we start worry about the thought, then it get down down spiral, so
Oh,
that
okay.
we can one lead to the others. And then when we hear the sound that not we've not been here before, it's a
Oh,
weird sound or something, and we start to think of on the worst
yeah.
case scenario kind of thing, and that make us worry. I don't feel worried about trap inside the plane, but I'm
Okay.
worried about the technical issue more.
Okay, more technical. And and everybody, most fearful flyers, whether they're worried about feeling trapped or the technical reliability of the airplane, it sucks for everybody, right? No matter what school you come from, what trigger you have, it's just miserable to do that. And so today, again, to reiterate what you said, you're actually sleeping. So and that's been, is that fair to say, in the course of 11 years, you've gone from not doing well, not flying at all, to flying comfortably to sleep? Because a big question that people ask me also is, can I ever get to where I'm comfortable on an airplane? And I appreciate you, because that's living proof that you can. And I see people do that. Would you say, how long has it been since you've been able to sleep on the airplane, would you say, Peter?
I've been travel regularly now at least twice a month, and then I think about 4 years ago. But
Okay.
at that time there are periods that we locked down and no travel at all. But I think it's around that time till now.
Okay. Yeah, cool. And something that just popped into my mind, have you ever used any medications? We have some medications, that are anti-anxiety drugs. They're in a biodiazepine family, like we call them Ativan and Xanax or anything like that. Was that ever available to you?
No.
No, you had to do it cold turkey. so no help. And did you ever use alcohol, or did you use that at all? So
No, I don't drink alcohol at all.
wow. So you are you are primal. That is so cool. That's really cool. And how often do you fly now? Do you still fly for business more than pleasure, or do you do both? And how often do you fly now, would you say?
No, my job requires me to fly at least twice a month.
Twice a month.
Yes, twice.
Okay. And just a couple of things here, and then any place that you dream about flying to that you haven't been to yet?
Yeah, that the Phoenix airport to meet you.
I would love that. I would love, and we might as well bring it out. You have a brother, I believe, that lives in the Los Angeles area, correct?
Yes, right.
Yeah. And I think,
yeah.
And so you have plans, not definite yet, but you have plans to perhaps come to the United States to visit your brother. And I promise that I definitely want to meet you when you come over here. That would really close the loop for me. So when do you think you might come over?
I think about mid of January. That I plan to. Yeah.
I'm going to mark it out on my calendar. And if you do get to Phoenix, I'll come over to meet you if I have to. But if you do get to Phoenix, you'll have a place to stay here. I would love to do that. Will your wife and your son come with you as well, or?
Yes, we plan to.
Very cool. Very cool. And overall, you've kind of touched on it, but just reiterate, what was the most valuable thing that you learned or were exposed to that helped you get from riding the train to getting on the airplane? It doesn't necessarily have to mean anything that I did or that, but what was the thing that was the most valuable to you to get over your fear?
I think on the lesson that you this is have contribute to the recover to take a plane some of them, like the one that we know about the turbulence. When I know the turbulence, I start feel like when we have a turbulence, we still worry. But then I remember what you talk about turbulence. Then I feel, oh, this is good. I use my logic mind to think about that instead of trapping on the fear. So that is have on that occasion, and others like the takeoff and the landing also have. But I particularly like the harmonize. I listen to that, and even I'm not flying, I still listen to that. At the first period, I listen every day. Yeah.
And that's something that I learned more from people like you than I ever did out of a book or in my counselor training, and that's what people report. And for me, I got this idea just out of serendipitously after listening to an audio program way back in around 1998, 97. And that's where I got the idea of the harmonizer. And I felt that education is paramount. And I think that's what you said, learning about turbulence, learning about airplanes and things like that is helpful. But the shortest path to find some comfort on the airplane is audio distraction. And that was just a guess that I took from listening to people like you. And so I'm really glad that panned out. Anything that you would like to say to people out there? I think you're a real inspiration. Just that, to me, the thing I've seen in most people is just don't give up. Keep working on it and keep flying, because you'll get not only over it, but you'll get to a point where you can do it comfortably and hopefully sleep like you're doing. Are there anything in closing that you would say to people watching you, Peter, to encourage them or inspire them?
So I would like to say that the first step is the most difficult one that we make decision to start. But I think for people in the US, they would have luckier that they have you. So you will be taking them for the first flight, graduation flight. That would be a good one. So take a first action, and then we will move on.
Take an action and move on. That's great advice. And I would second that. The interesting thing to me is when you first contacted me, I was just starting the program that I have up in the cloud now. And so you were really my guinea pig. I don't know if that makes sense if you know what that means, but you were the first one to do that. And I'm essentially doing the same thing. And it's hard for me to impart to people that, most people think you can't do anything unless there's an airplane involved, when you're on the airplane. And I say, no, you could learn a lot before you ever get on the airplane. And in fact, you need to do that to prep yourself and have some kind of a strategy. So anyway, so thanks to, and to everybody out there listening, I want to thank you again, because you just contacted me out of nowhere. I had been thinking about you just really in the last month for some reason. And I just was so amazed and grateful when you showed up on my doorstep and I saw your name on there and I said, I know that name, and not just because I don't have very many Vietnamese in my database there, but and then we had a little talk the other day, and when I invited John here. But I do want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm so glad that you're doing so well, and you're really doing well, apparently living in Singapore and all that. So thanks for joining us. Anybody else have anything, final words or questions, Dieter?
Well, I just want to tell Peter, congratulations for all your hard work. You kind of hauled yourself through that all by yourself, and it paid off. And that was very, very interesting listening to you, how you did that. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
There was quite a bit of chat going on while you were speaking, Peter. And, you know, some of the people are, what is the harmonizer? Other people have already commented and said, oh my God, it's the only way I fly. And so I want to make a shout out to Janelle. Janelle's actually watching us from San Diego, and she just recently flew and also used the harmonizer for before the takeoff and during takeoff. So it's amazing to know that literally this program has helped thousands of people all around the planet, including you. And it's just really amazing to hear your story. And there were lots of hearts and thumbs up coming because people can really relate, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I just want to say thank you. That was really amazing.
And if you could understand me, that's hope for anybody out there.
Yes.
I think it's saving grace. So anyway, so thank you so much. And I can't wait till you come over and visit. I definitely want to connect with you and meet you and your wife and your son, and really looking forward to it. So thanks for taking time out. And do you have to go to work now? Because it's like about 10 o'clock in the morning, I think, isn't it, for you?
Yes, 10 o'clock.
So, well, we're sorry because we're going to go to bed in just a little bit. But anyway, have a wonderful day. And you know how to get a hold of us if you ever need to, Peter. So thank you so much. Have a great day.
Joining us. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much. Yeah, bye-bye.
You can
Hi,
hang in there
Peter.
for the rest of the show if you want, or just feel free to go make some money for yourself. Thank you. All right. Well, thanks to him. Oh, and just, I mean, it's just amazing when it's always amazing. I know Diane and Eric and Dieter will all say this, when you see people, and we've got this class, these 2 flights coming up in October, one out of Burbank and one out of Phoenix here. And the worst thing, not the worst thing, but one of the sad things is when we get back from flying, no matter how many people we had, in the next month, I will get people say, when are you going to fly? When are you going to fly? And I'll think, oh man, we just did. So if you know anybody out there that has a fear of flying, this is perfectly timed yet. We've got 3 weeks basically before we go fly. And that's enough time to do the 201, which you're going to get for free. You're going to get that same course material that Peter was talking about. And you're going to be able to practice and get enough learning in that, and then you're going to be able to watch us when we do the either, if you're participating in either Phoenix or in Air Hollywood or in California, you're going to be able to watch the live stream live where we actually do the pre-flight there. Everybody's going to be there, and we're back on Air Hollywood on their mock-up out there. And it's just an exciting evening. We're going to spend a couple hours there the night before, and that's why we wanted to let everybody around the world participate if you want. Because if you take advantage of the discount and watch the live stream, if you can't be there, then you're going to be able to have the replay of that, and you can use that as your own kind of little special harmonizer. You can use that to pre-flight for yourself in any future flights out there. So if you can make the flight, either in Burbank, flying with us with the crew, or here in Phoenix, please consider that really, really deeply. We're doing it for basically half price of what we do. Plus, we're throwing in the course in the cloud, and you'll be better prepared. When I first started flying with people, we didn't do any of this stuff. I just talked to them a little bit, and we'd show up at the airport and fly. So this is way, way, way more than we've ever done. But we really do want you on the flight with us, because it's the best way to get over your fear. And you'll have a little anxiety. I'm not going to minimize that, but the thing that you'll notice is it goes away rapidly, and you'll be with a group of people that just are experiencing the same thing. And there is strength in numbers, and we do support each other. So
have us.
Yeah.
You have us.
Surely have all of us, and all of us are going to be there.
Yes.
Yeah. So
For good,
there are
for good or for evil, we're all going to be there.
there are a couple of questions, so I just wanna slide in. Actually, thank you, Sue, for answering one of them already. So yes, on the Friday, that's October the 20th, we have what usually is a pre-flight webinar for the participants of the flight the next day. Because we're in Air Hollywood, first of all, if you want to fly with us on the Saturday, October 21st, you can come in person to the Air Hollywood studios, sit in the mock-up with us there, and get that pre-flight briefing, that class, right in person. If you cannot come to the Friday night, you can live stream it, so that's available for everyone around the planet. And I will put a link in the comments in just a moment, how to sign up for that live stream on October 20th. So I think that's most of the questions. And yes, Dawn saying the pain in the brain is not about the plane. That is absolutely 100% correct. And like Peter was mentioning earlier, ultimately the only way to really truly overcome it is get on the plane, but this time with the right tools and with the right strategies.
Right.
Ron or anybody else?
That's the big part of it, is you have to have a plan when you get on the airplane. Most people, when you're sitting here, it makes no sense. But for some reason, when we're under a lot of stress, we just think, okay, it was miserable last time, but maybe something has happened magically in the universe. When I get on the next time, it'll go away. And not only does it not go away, it gets worse. And it does appear to get worse with age. So the longer you put it off, the average person waits 10 years before they decide to do something. And so it's always the right time. And we just encourage you to do it. There's not much more that I've had as much joy as flying with a group of people who are hesitant to do so. So come out there with us and join us either in Burbank or here in Phoenix later in the month. Okay.
Right. I believe we do have some aviation news too, right, Captain Eric?
Let me put out just a quick. If you have any questions, this should be your go-to thing to do, is sign up for a free 15-minute coaching call. That's how Peter did it. That's how almost everybody whose name I can remember now, that's how I first met people. It's a one-to-one interview with me. I'm not good at keeping 15 minutes, so allow a little bit of chunk of time in there, but I want it to be meaningful for you. It's not a used car salesman. It's not a pitch. It's a really a bona fide coaching session to help you figure out what your next step is, where you are and where you want to go. So please consider that. I'm sure Dieter will put a link in there to do with that as well. Okay, so we got a couple of things in the news, and let me see. I wanted to do this other slide first to kind of prep that. I'm looking through. Okay, guys, where did I put my crew edition? Here we go. This is a blank slide, but many of you know that I've been playing hooky here from time to time. And in my absence, Diane and Dieter and Eric have been putting on what we call the crew edition, giving me, I think they're worried about my age, advancing age, and that I can't handle all this. And of course, it just triggers my abandonment fears. But other than that, we're a pretty healthy group. So I wanted to say a quick shout out formally for that. So we do plan that now. On some weeks, we just have, we have Diane, Dieter, and Eric holding down the fort here, talking more about airplane issues. People still like to talk about airplanes. Oh my gosh. So, despite the fact that it isn't about the plane, you got to be comfortable with the plane before you go out there and try to do some things there. So we do have, if we have some questions here.
Eric, what are you had a couple things you had looked into of stuff that's happened in the last few weeks.
Well, I'm actually good with that. That was in case Ron had stray electrons over there and I needed to jump in, but I can hold that till next week. and the week after, and we didn't get any inbound questions on it. So I'm happy tabling it till
I
next.
think you need to give them a teaser though. Just give,
I think so too.
I think you just don't hold back. Just a
Voted
one-sentence
twice.
blurb so they
we-
are hanging on tenterhooks.
All right.
We
We're going to cover next week.
We know how fond people are of the thought of a lightning bolt hitting an airplane. Could you throw some light on that?
That's the most current event. Sunday night, Hawaiian Airlines is taking off from Las Vegas, Nevada for one of the islands, and they didn't get 20 minutes into the flight before they got hit with a lightning strike. And Ron and I were both talking about that we'd been hit a few times in our career, and the lightning strike per se isn't a concern. The concern is, did it damage any equipment? Did it affect any radios? That sort of thing. And we've talked much here about overwater flying and ETOPS rules for extended overwater flying. And because the airplane took that damage so early, we call once we're an hour offshore, we call that the ETOPS entry point, where we're working under a different set of rules. But before we get there, we want everything on the airplane working, so we have a maximum amount of system redundancy. And Hawaiian got hit early before they'd actually even crossed the California state line, and highly likely we're talking to their dispatcher and maintenance personnel and said, listen, we just took this right here. What would you like us to do? Or if they had a radio loss or an equipment loss, then that would have directed them to turn back, which is what they did. And the airplane returned uneventfully, 278 people, 11 crew, no damage except for the paint, probably. And if there was an equipment loss, they dealt with it there. But that's why, because that occurred early in the flight, not out over water where they needed to make a decision to continue on or turn back. But that was kind of big news when it said the Hawaii flight only lasted 20 minutes. And that's why.
Yeah, and not that if they had the strike over the water, would it have been any more dire? It's just that when you have more backups, more redundancy, as Eric said, when you're early in the flight there, so they were able to take advantage of that. So anyway, so he'll be talking about stuff that's happening in the news related to that incidents and things like that, and answering questions. And so we really encourage you to stay tuned and come back to us. So any final questions, Dieter?
There's yes, I want to address, I believe it was Avery. Avery's asking, will the 201 course help with claustrophobia? And I just want to say we have actually an entire module in there that addresses claustrophobia specifically. And also, as part of the 201, you get all the replays of all the monthly group coaching calls, which we circle around the topic of feeling trapped, and which actually Ron and I learned not that long ago is actually another phobia, claustrophobia, right, Ron? Is that it? Claustro? Yeah.
Claustrophobia, yeah.
So
it's kind of
yeah.
So, and for those of you in the 201, not only do we have a module that talks about claustrophobia, but we will send you an appliance box via Amazon special delivery with a package of duct tape, and we will have you take a seat in there and have one of your loved ones tape the box shut and leave you in there for prescribed period. No, we won't do that. I promise you, we won't do that. Anyway, I couldn't resist. So we do talk a lot about claustrophobia, and it's again a trivia or a statement that supports the fact that the pain in your brain is not about the plane. It's about the story that you tell yourself. So what you do, and Peter brought this out right at the beginning. He said he educated himself, and then he used the harmonizer to get him on the airplane quicker rather than later, so that he had something to distract himself. And he confessed to what a lot of people tell me. I have people out there that first got it 20 years ago, and they still use it once a day, kind of like a meditation. So it's just something that you can get used to that puts your mind other than where your worry brain wants to put it. You've got to keep your thoughts under your control and not let them get hijacked and stay there by your amygdala. Okay. So, well, been a great night for me. I hope you guys have all enjoyed this. I'm going to say in absentia, thanks to Peter again for contacting me. It just warmed my heart to see his name there and then to talk with him. He's just a great example of why I cannot ever quit doing this, and why Diane and Eric and Dieter are there as well. It's really infectious, and we really enjoy your attention and your support. And we'll be back next week again for another edition of Fearless Flight. So thanks, everybody. Have a great week.